Good morning, everybody. Have you guys ever wondered, what camera should I buy? That seems to be the #1 question I get. I get it from parents when their children start saying, hey, I'm interested in photography. What should I get my child? And then I have other people who are just interested in general, and they're like, how do I pick a camera? I'm like so confused. There's like so many different cameras out there. And guys, it's true, there's so many different options. And we're actually getting in that time of the year where also you're gonna start seeing those Black Friday sales and the Monday whatever sales and everything else like that. So you might be having that question going, it's that time of the year, I might be buying a camera or something. So these are very timely questions that you may be having. And if you stick around, I am going to go ahead and tell you about that. And I'm also going to go ahead and give you a bonus at the end if you stick all the way to the end, and what I think is kind of a good rule of thumb. So first things first, let's think about this. Let's think about your budget. How much money are you willing to spend on a new camera? Don't think just about your camera, but also think about your lens too. So think about your budget. Think about what you really are, like your must-haves, and what are some things that maybe you can let go of so that you can reach within the budget that you're looking for. So that is #1. Think about your budget. #2, think about what is going to suit your needs. Are you looking to just do landscape photography, or are you looking to do action shots? Are you wanting to do wildlife photography? Are you just a mom? Not just a mom. Moms are awesome. You're a mom that wants to just document your child's life. You aren't interested in getting some big daddy camera, right? Maybe you just want something that's maybe a point and shoot. So think about what are your uses with your camera, because if you're looking for action shots, then you're going to want a camera that does more frames per second. If you're looking to travel, maybe you are wanting to get away from that technology, so you're like, I don't want to take pictures with my phone, I'm tired of looking at my phone, I'm trying to detach. So maybe you might want a point and shoot. So you got to think about, what are you going to be using your camera for? The other idea and concept that you want to go ahead and think about is, where are you going with your photography? Where do you want to grow to? Because if you're not looking to take this to the next level, then there's no sense in you going out and buying a $2,000, $3,000 camera. If you're just around the house, you can get very nice cameras in the price range of like, $300 to $500. So you really want to think about, what are you going to be using that camera for? Now let's go ahead and go into the different types of cameras. You have your point and shoot cameras. These tend to have a little bit higher quality than a camera on your phone, but as time has been progressing, I mean, the cameras on our phones are like absolutely fantastic. I know personally on my phone, I have an old phone. It's an S10. It's an Android S10e. I know that if I wanted to print up my photos on this phone, I could really only go about as big as an 8x10. I checked with the lab and they said I wouldn't want to print anything bigger than that. So if you're looking just to print up like 4x6s, 8x10s, nothing really big, your phone, if you have anything newer than what I have, I think you're going to be pretty much good to go there. Next up, let's talk about action cameras. Think about like a GoPro, for example. They're waterproof, they're rugged, they shoot really, really wide, so they're actually a little bit more better for video than they are for photos, but still, they'll do both. So maybe you might want something that's more action related because you are a little bit more on the go, you're doing water things, so that might be an option for you. Another option is we have our DSLRs and we have our mirrorless. Now, DSLRs, they come in crop sensor or full frame, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. They both have interchangeable lenses, whereas the point and shoot cameras, they are not interchangeable lenses. Therefore, you are kind of limited to what you have with that point and shoot camera. With your DSLR and mirrorless, you can change out the lenses, and it's the lenses that give you the quality that you're looking for, that can give you that bokeh that you want. So it is the lenses, not the camera, that gives you kind of that artistic power. Another thing is that, you know, I have a lot of old gear, guys. I have a D3100, I have a D750. When I was doing the jump, when I was going to buy my full frame camera, I remember looking at mirrorless, and I really didn't know a lot about mirrorless, and that's kind of the direction that photography has taken, is going into that mirrorless era. And needless to say, sometimes looking back, I wish I probably would have done the jump then, because now it's like, I've already bought a lot of lenses for my DSLR camera, and the mounts aren't going to be the same, and I'm going to have to buy, you know, adapters and things like that. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to do that or not, because it's like more extra weight that you got to carry. You know, some people argue that there's not much loss of quality, and others say that there is a little bit of loss of quality. So I'm kind of like in that kind of like, man, I don't know. So needless to say, that is kind of like, you have your DSLRs and you have your mirrorless cameras. One of the things that I would look at, hi Birdie, one of the things that I would do is look at whatever brand camera that you are looking to invest in. Look at the lineup of lenses that they have, because some companies have more options than other camera brands have. Personally, I have 5 lenses. I have 2 kit lenses, and then I have a brand name lens, and then I have a third-party lens. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about lenses in a little bit. Let's talk about the next thing that you guys want to think about. You want to think about your image quality. The smaller the sensor, the less image quality that you are going to have. So if you have a 1-inch sensor, then you're looking at a very like a budget-friendly camera, your point and shoot cameras, and they're going to have lower quality. But guys, think about how much technology has really changed. Even with the lower budget cameras now, with the smaller sensor, it is so much better than it was 20 years ago. So I mean, honestly, you know, as long as you're not looking to make a huge print, right? Then you'll be okay. If you are looking for a huge print, you know, you're probably going to want to go something more with, you know, a crop sensor or a full frame sensor, and something with at least 24 megapixels. But if you're looking for just small prints and stuff like that, something with a 1-inch or smaller sensor will probably do you just fine. Now, your medium quality sensor would be something that's a crop sensor. Now, with a crop sensor, and this is part of this thinking of, okay, what am I going to be using this camera for? Crop sensors are great in the fact that it gives you a little bit more throw. So it's really good for, like, I would say probably like sports photography, wildlife photography, something where you need a little bit more throw. It gives you kind of an easy way to just describe it. It gives you a little bit more further distance than a full frame. I remember one time seeing somebody kind of explain it as, if you were to take a picture in the same spot with the same distance lens and everything on a full frame and a crop sensor, the crop sensor is going to show you 4 trees, and then the full frame is going to be wider, and it's going to show you 6 trees. So it's almost like you kind of get a little bit of zoom in power with a crop sensor camera. Now, one time I was doing a wedding, and what I did was I went ahead and rented an extra camera, because originally when I was first looking at cameras, I was looking at the D750 and the D7500. I ended up going with the D750. And on this wedding, I went ahead and rented a D7500 because I figured that it was a little bit more comparable to the D750, and also too, the renting factor wasn't as expensive as getting the full frame, and that was going to be my backup camera anyway. So I was like, okay, not a big deal. But needless to say, honestly, guys, when I took pictures with the D7500 and kind of looked at them and compared them with my D750, they were pretty comparable, so you really couldn't tell much of a difference. If you're looking for maybe more landscapes, you're wanting to shoot a little bit wider or whatnot, then you will want to go ahead and go with a full frame sensor. They're better for shooting in like lower light situations, and you're going to get better quality. So that is kind of the differences in the sensors. Now with your lenses, you have different quality with your lenses, and you have your kit lens, you have your brand name lenses, and then you have third-party lenses. Kit lenses are normally those lenses that come with, when you go to buy a camera, you know, it comes with lenses. Some people will say, don't buy a kit lens, don't buy a kit lens. I'm going to say to you, if you're on a budget, go ahead and buy a kit lens. Get the kit lens with it. I know when I had finally decided to purchase a camera, and when I had stopped doing photography for a while, and I had gotten rid of all my gear, didn't have anything, and I came back and I finally had saved up the money to buy a camera. And it was a D3100. It came with 2 kit lenses, but that was all I could afford, guys. And so I bought kit lenses, and I didn't worry about whether or not I had a third-party lens or or I had a brand lens. I was just happy to have a camera with a lens, okay? Let alone I had 2, right? So that made me happy because that was what was in my budget and what I could afford. So don't be scared to buy a kit lens if that's all you can afford. Now, if you can get a little bit better quality, then go with a brand lens. Now, going with a brand lens, one, they are normally more water resistant. They are also normally, they're also a little bit lighter. If you go with a third-party lens, then it's probably going to be a little bit heavier. It's not going to be, it's going to be heavier and probably not as water resistant. So, and some people will say that the quality is also not as good, but you know what? I have a Sigma lens and I have a Tamron lens, and they do fantastic quality images in my opinion. Now, last but definitely not least, think about buying used gear. Guys, like, if you're looking at a particular camera that you really like, but it's out of your price range, look and see if what the price is used. I mean, guys, at this point, my D750 is pretty well used, right? It has like part of the skin is like falling off of this camera, okay? But you guys wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that I'm missing parts of my camera. It's still taking fantastic images. And you know, if a camera has a dent or a scratch on it or something like that, as long as it's taking, as long as it's taking awesome pictures, then, who cares, right? And you guys have seen my lens, because I dropped my 24-70 Tamron lens, and it has a big crack in the front of the case on the tip of the lens. But it still takes fantastic photographs. Now, I wouldn't suggest buying a camera that really looks like it's been beat up, right? But if it's got some light wear and tear, hi, Grumpy Bluebird, how are you today? Yes, this is, I named the birds around the location, and this is Grumpy Bluebird. It's a little heron, a little blue heron, and he comes in here all the time, and he is just the grumpiest bird. He comes in here and he starts talking to everybody. And so anyways, I guess he decided he was going to come over and say hi. Anyways, I digress. Where was I? I was talking about, we were talking about lenses, and we were talking about, okay, so I would probably buy maybe something that's like lightly kind of, used. Maybe don't buy the camera that's got a big old crack down the middle of it, like my lens. You might not want to buy my lens, but honestly speaking, if it just has like some marks, some scuffs on it, just look it over. A lot of times when you do buy from certain companies, they'll even come with like, a money back guarantee for like 30 days or whatnot. So you might want to just look into purchasing from a reputable company versus maybe buying from a previous owner. Like instead of buying private, buy from a company, so that way maybe you get that that warranty. And that will give you a little sense of security that if something goes wrong with it, you can send it back to them. All right, so last but not least, I said to you guys, if you stuck around and wow, there's an airplane right above my head. Awesome, okay. I am like digressing, like I'm like squirrel today. The bonus, the rule of thumb when you go to buy gear is invest more in your lenses than your camera body, because it is those lenses that give you the artisticness that you are looking for in your photography. The one thing that is kind of honestly keeping me, and I kind of mentioned and alluded to it earlier, the main reason why I have not jumped over to mirrorless quite yet, as much as I really am itching to get a mirrorless camera. The main thing is because the mounts are different. So I'd have to go to a new mount and I'd have to use the converter and everything else like that. So really think back on some of the previous things that I said earlier, is think about where do you plan on going with your photography, and then that might, you know, make you think a little bit more about it. But honestly speaking, when I bought my D750, guys, I really wish I would have looked more into the lenses than I did. I tried buying something that was, I bought a lens that was comparable to my crop sensor camera. I loved my 18 to 200 millimeter lens. I was in love with that lens. It was great because it was so versatile, and but it was a good little lens. And so when I went to go buy my D750, I asked them what was a comparable lens to that 18 to 200 in crop sensor, and they gave me, I think, 28 to 300 is what I think I have. I don't even remember because I don't even use it anymore. And I just ended up not liking it, and I kind of wish that I would have done more research and maybe picked a better lens. Do I pull that 28 to 300 out or whatever? The only time that I've really honestly pulled it out to use it recently was when I couldn't even pick up my 150 to 600 millimeter lens because of everything that I've been going through. So it was nice just because it was like, okay, I got a little bit of reach, but I didn't have as much reach, but at least I could hold that versus, you know, my Big Daddy lens. But anyway, so I digress there, guys. I got like really philosophical there for a second. So those would be some of the things that I would think about. I hope that this video has helped you out. If you think it has helped you out or it can help others, go ahead and give it a like. Make sure that you go ahead and share it with somebody else who, you know, this video could help. Hit that notification bell if you want to go ahead and not miss any other episodes, and go ahead and subscribe. I want you guys to remember that you are awesome. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in about 3 weeks. See you later, alligator.